That's exactly it. They're the market for the porn magazines. We've discovered it.
It all comes together.
Oh, God, that's disgusting, Baines.
You do think, oh, God.
Hello, everyone. This is Quackcast number 377. I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is Tanserine.
Hello.
And Pitface.
Ew.
And Baines.
Hello.
Bruno Harm.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about a topic that I came up with for this Quackcast. It's my best work, or your best work. And just talking about that. I thought that'd be an interesting kind of subject, because then, maybe we can have other people sort of talking about it when they listen to the Quackcast. Hopefully someone will, or at least read the news post associated with it and tell us about your best work.
We haven't done a community contributed thing in a long time, actually.
Yeah, we haven't. I've been very, very, very lazy about that. I admit it.
That's what I was getting at, yeah.
So, yeah, we should... I would love to have people contributing and all joining in. That would be fantastic.
We will be reading everything next podcast if that happens.
Exactly. We'll be in funny voices, maybe. Oh, my God.
That's been a while.
I love doing that. All right. Before we get into that, I wanted to do the featured comic. So the featured comic was Detox Camp, and that was a feature that I did. So Detox Camp. Listen to me talk about Detox Camp. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was Detox Camp. Kiro is sent far, far into the icy northern wastes of Alaska as punishment for her crimes, but the place she arrives isn't the prison she expects. It's not a prison at all. It's far, far worse. She soon finds herself at the mercy of her fellow inmates. How bad can things get? This is an intriguing story with a slowly unfurling mystery. Why did Kiro commit her crime? What even was her crime? Why are those kids stuck in an abandoned factory? Why doesn't Mum help her? Mum being the only adult in charge, not an actual mum. That's just her title. Detox Camp is a comedy drama fully digitally drawn. It's painted in pleasantly muted colours that highlight the coldness of the scenes. So yes, this is a comic by Cutini, and it's rated T for teen. And yeah, I enjoyed this. It has a very good look to it because of those muted tones it's done, so it gives it a very unified palette to every single page, and yeah, a really nice sort of pleasant look without being pastel. And yeah, it fits in with the whole look of something that is Arctic? Yes, Antarctica. I'm in Australia, we think of Antarctica. Antarctic. But yeah, Northern Hemisphere is Arctic, of course. Yes, so this is very nicely drawn. The abandoned factory really has the look of an abandoned factory too. It's sort of very desolate looking. Looks like something that's just been left to mummify itself in the dry, northern, cold wastes of Alaska. So yeah, it's very unified, and obviously Cutini has thought a lot about the look of the comic, look they wanted to achieve, and they have achieved it quite well. The character designs are quite good too. They're nicely stylized. Everything has a fairly stylized look, and it fits well with a more comedic kind of comic. It's not totally serious, although there is a bit of drama in it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. It's a fun read. So read Detox Camp by Cutini, rated E, rated T. And that was our featured comic, Detox Camp. Okay, so after that we have the featured music that Gunwallace has given us, and this week he's given us the theme to Captain Galactose. Do you guys remember this from last week?
Yeah.
Quai's feature. Oh my god. I think Quai is the one who's controlling Gunwallace. There we are.
Now it all becomes clear.
Exactly. She's up there pulling the levers, pressing the buttons. Making Gunwallace do everything. Okay. So this music, Captain Galactos, it's fast, it's frenetic, it's a side-scroller beat-em-up action game. This tune slams into you, rolling with a flurry of quick punches and kicks, overwhelming you in seconds and moving on to the next level boss. So take it away, Gunwallace, with Captain Galactos. That was our music. Thank you for that, Gunwallace. Captain Galactos. Galactus. This sounds like Galactus, doesn't it? The character from Fantastic
Marvel.
Four? Marvel. Yeah, he's in all sorts of Marvel things, isn't he?
Well, mostly Fantastic Four, though. I think you were right.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
I've just seen the cartoon and the movie. The movie was very disappointing.
Oh, right. Fantastic Four movie. Yeah.
A planet. It was just a nebula, really, in the movie.
Yeah, so I heard. They didn't even show him. He was just sort of smoke. Not a big dude with a big purple hat.
How silly. I think I've seen all the movies. No, I've seen the first lot of movies they did, but not the last lot, where they went even weirder.
Where it was remade.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about our best work. So, Pip, what's your best work? Oh, no. She's dead.
She's off mic. She's incog. So.
Are you recording again? Because did you remember to push record again?
I am recording.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We don't want to segue into this somehow. You're just gonna do me cold like this. Just. Hey, what's your best work?
I could go if you want. I thought about it.
Tell us
if you're not ready.
Tell us about your best work, Baines. What are you most proud of?
Well, I think there's one I went with mostly because of kind of reader feedback and looking back after the fact. Was one story in particular.
Okay.
The Baby Daddy was the original title. And then I changed the title for some dumb reason, but I like that title. Called it Pop. It was a typical strange story from maybe, I don't know, I want to say 2 years ago. It might have been 5. But
wow.
So it's a sort of relatively complex story, probably my most complex in that series, where TK believes this secret agent who happens to be a midget. He sort of has fatherly feelings for this little person. Yeah. And this guy's like a miserable 55-year-old government agent, sort of a cartoonish, version of a government agent kind of thing.
Grumpy.
And because of reasons, and that's what I wanted. I wanted TK to have this sort of lunatic, fatherly sort of thing, this protective thing over this guy who has, obviously no regard for him. And they get pulled into this kind of ridiculous, over-the-top kind of adventure plot. There's a Russian spy. There's the usual cliches that I use. Yeah. and all this stuff. And it's a story that I like wanted to do for years, and I like sort of worked on it for literally years. I think it was one of the early ideas I had for a story I wanted to do, and it was really hard to do. It took a long time to figure out just the mechanics of the story, and that's probably the one that stands out the most. There's another one where Penelope like goes back into her background as an underground fighter, and the rest of the group goes to save her.
Yeah.
From this like criminal underworld kind of. That one's I like that one quite a bit too. But probably the other one with the midget secret agent. The baby daddy took a long time to realize, a lot of effort to figure out the story.
Yeah,
and,
that was the one where
that would be it. Yeah.
We did the didn't we do something where we sort of read out part of a thing? And
yeah. The dramatic reading we did was from sort of the climactic. TK's tied to a chair to the roof. That for months I was trying to figure out. Okay, I want him on the roof in a chair, and to kind of almost fall off. Like I want to do this thing.
Yeah, be stuck up there.
Yeah, and even with the cliches, it's one of my few stories that's not kind of a either super thin story or like a kind of a ripoff of a classic sitcom. Like it does have its cliches, but I think it's pretty like it all comes together in sort of a way that's particular to me, I think. So
yeah, it's original.
Yeah, that would be it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. I could tell that one was had a lot of thinking behind it. And you were quite proud of it.
Yeah, and the people, like the feedback from it, when people would sort of like they pulled some images from my comic to do a review of my comic at one point, and I noticed they were pulling images from that story, and like that one's been referenced by my like some of the people who comment on my comic, with like some of the jokes in there that I had in my mind for years that I finally got to do. Like people have commented after the fact on it, so. So yeah, that one really worked.
It's the magnum opus. So if you were going to do like an animation,
I guess it is.
Or like even if you're going to print your comic, would you choose that chapter to do that?
No, only because it's not a good intro to the characters in the series. I would do it second if I was doing print editions. I'd do it as volume 2, probably. But yeah,
that's a good idea. Yeah, just segue into it.
Yeah. You got to like present your characters a little bit first, and then you can go in these different directions.
Yeah, that was.
It doesn't really represent the series. Sorry, it doesn't represent the series as a whole really well at all. But
this is a good adventure for the characters.
Yeah, it's a sort of different, sort of out of the ordinary kind of adventure.
That was another theme that I wanted to talk about. I forgot that I wanted to do it. Was how do you introduce your story and your characters? How do you sort of begin with it? But that'll be for a future question.
Oh, that's a good topic too. Yeah.
So, Tance, what's your best? It was Wolf, right? Wasn't it?
Wolf.
What was my best work as like a webcomic creator or in general?
Anything. Movies, scripts, books, singing. I mean, Sabotage, that was amazing performance.
Yeah, that was my magnum opus, of course, as you can all imagine.
Sandwiches you've made, or cakes you've cooked.
I think, thinking, it's not very easy to choose because I'm self-conscious about absolutely everything. So now I have to gush about something that I have made. So I would say that the one work that I am most proud now at this point in time is the script that I made for the war movie.
Oh,
that as of now nobody can see yet. Because it was really hard to conceive, not because it is such a earth-shattering plot or anything. But because I was given a very strictly historical setting that I had to be very faithful to, under pain of death or something, and I had to be also creative enough to shoehorn in a story that the director would want, because you don't get to do whatever you absolutely want as a scriptwriter apparently, and you have to conform to certain things. So I had to marry the concept that I would have a very macho, epic battle showdown between very hardy and at the end of the line armies that are pushing for the end game and everything. And on the other hand, I also had to create a love triangle. And historically there were no women there, but they also weren't thinking of like a Brokeback Mountain kind of thing. They were thinking of a legit love triangle between two men and a woman. And I was telling the guys when we were brainstorming, like, but there were no nurses up there. There were no civilians up there not because in other places that didn't happen, but because in that particular hilltop where everything is happening, it was just a unit that had been cut off by everybody else, and they had nobody except themselves. So I had to figure out a way to do it, and eventually I did, and I'm very proud of that because I pitched this story about a cross-dressing woman to this very conservative, austere, traditional panel of men that would be approving it, and they liked it. So, and it got approved, and I got to write it. So I'm very proud of that. So that would be the work I'm most proud of nowadays.
Yeah.
Out of everything.
You had so many challenges to sort of cope with, and it was like the culmination of what you'd learned with your script writing, in comics and all that kind of stuff, and your talents.
It helped immensely. And again, also the historical element was very, very tough, because although I have like a trove of things on World War II, I didn't have on World War II in that particular instance. I didn't have much on that. I only knew it as a blip on the sequence of events. But I had to learn very quickly all of these things and incorporate them in and get characters that are actual historical personalities and write them, which for me is extremely stressful. How you depict a historical personality so that, people won't be pissed, especially those that are very, devoted and everything. And yeah, but it came together very well, and I wish I could actually have something to show for it yet. Not yet. So I'm hoping. So.
Oh, there are videos online.
What did you say?
There are some videos online.
Yeah, but those are not actually representative of any of the scenes that I have written. It's just a sample of what the essence, the taste of the movie is going to be, and more of a baseline for special effects and stuff, so that they will get the funding that they want for this. And it's not actually like a scene from the movie. So I'm still waiting on that for now.
So no one can see your magnum opus yet.
No, unfortunately, not
Damn
yet.
it.
Soon.
Once you have a timeline, soon.
Yeah, it has it's something like 60% funded now,
Right.
and it's basically waiting state approval to go into production. So hopefully this year.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Knock on wood and all that stuff. Okay. Well, let's see. What's my best work? I think in webcomics anyway, my best work would probably be Pinky TA number 6, I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pinky TA 6. Oh, damn it, I don't even know the number. Yeah, chapter 6, I'm pretty sure. So in that I think I've talked about it before, but anyway, that was the one where it was all from a short story I wrote in the Pinky TA world. So I was sort of thinking I had finished off the massive long Pinky TA story that I'd been doing and the stupid little animation that I'd finished that off with. And I was sort of at a loose end thinking, oh my God, how am I going to continue this damn thing? What am I going to do? And so then I was just writing down a few ideas in this tiny little notebook that I had. And I came up with this idea, and it was like an interesting sort of thing happening between these 4 different characters and, the funny dialogue that was going on between them and the funny situation. And I just sort of ran with it, and I just kept on writing. And I think it took like maybe only a few hours of just lying in my bed, writing in this tiny little notebook in tiny little handwriting, and just having so much fun with the story and, writing it as a short story. And then I came to, to turn it into a comic, and it all sort of just worked out so well because I'd done it, fully scripted and all in one go. It was such a joy to do, and when it got turned into a comic just so perfectly, and I was updating almost like a page a week almost, which is just incredible for me. And I was getting incredible views at that time as well, so people were coming in and looking at it and admiring it from all over the place as well. So it was getting so popular. And when I finished it, it was like such a nicely tight kind of contained chapter. Everything sort of works so well. So that's why I would consider that probably my best work, because the whole process was such a joy, and the work itself just fits together so well. So if I'm ever going to print the work comic, that would be the chapter that I would do, even though it's like, in the middle of my, whatever that word is, oeuvre. Yeah, it's in it's in the middle of it, but I don't care. That I think that is my tightest piece of work, my best piece of Pinky TA work that I would want to promote myself with. So yeah, that's it.
Excellent. I'm looking at it again now. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Beauty.
Was I right? Was it number 6?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at number 6 anyway.
Yeah. It's the one that starts off. It's just a picture of a bunch of tanks.
Yes.
And a big number 6. And yeah, so that cover was from a painting that I'd done like maybe over 20 years ago now.
Wow.
Forever. Yeah, I finally had a chance to use that. Yeah, and I was just so happy with how everything went. It just, all the planets became aligned and everything just went smooth and right. And Pinky TA worked for once. It wasn't so hard to produce as it is now. Where each page is like hewed from marble. That has to be shipped and takes 5 months to ship from bloody Italy or something. God's sake, that's how it feels like. So yeah, that was just smooth, just lubricated, just running on rails.
That's weird because I and Tans talked about the challenges of her script, and I was the same. Like the one I liked the most was not the most enjoyable process.
Oh, really?
It's very satisfying when it was done. Yeah, it was a lot more challenging. It took forever to figure out.
And the challenge made you happy?
Not at the time, but after the fact, yeah.
At the time, it's never enjoyable. It's afterwards
Yeah.
when you feel you have vanquished it.
Yeah. Well,
Like the ones that have been the easiest or the least effort, or I mean, I know you're not saying least effort for you, but I like that I've kind of sort of enjoyed the process. There's good stuff in them. I mean, for me anyway, but none of that stuff was even in the running as the best story or the best work. It's it's always the stuff that's more difficult to do.
Yeah, well, there were some challenges. I mean, translating a written script into visual work was tricky, but everything was there for me. Whereas how I normally work is always a very skeleton script or thumbnails or something like that. So, and then I expect to fill everything in once I've done the page. So that's where the creation process is going to happen, not in the scripting. But that, that means there's a lot of work that has to be done when I create a page. A lot of work. Whereas back then, I didn't have to do so much work because it had already been done in the script stage. And so, like, Bottomless Waitress is the same kind of thing. It's not so much work to do that because you've already written everything out. So, I just have to translate it.
Yeah.
So that was good. I mean, there was some work in that, when I do writing, I'm very, very florid. My scripts and the characters' speeches just go on and on and on, and you can't fit that in a page. You just can't. And I love doing descriptions, and you can't have any of that in a page. So that was like cutting me to my soul to remove those words.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there is
having to amputate a limb. You think, oh no, I want that in. I was so proud of that turn of phrase, and I can't. No one will ever see it. But yeah, apart from that, it was a pleasure.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Pitt, have you come up with an example?
Yeah, it's boring. It's just putrid meat, and the reason for that being is I can't even choose a chapter or anything like that, because for me, putrid meat is so everything is just bound to everything else in it. It's hard for me to segment it in any one way. It makes one part stick out to me more than another does. But putrid meat, I'd call that my best. See, there are so many things that we could use to quantify what we consider our best, but qualify, not quantify.
Yeah.
I told you I'm not doing good with words lately. But, the reason why I say it's putrid meat right now is a couple of reasons, and they're going to be pretty obvious, so this is a boring answer. But I mean, one, it's the one that I spent the longest time on. It's the one that I've completed. But it's also just absolutely 100% from my heart. Not to sound too dramatic about it, but from my inside, so to speak. It's very primal and aware. It's very just I don't know the word to choose for it, where it's just like almost automatic in the way that I went about it. Like I had kind of a story that I was following, but it was just kind of puked out of my head, and it felt like in a way that felt very natural. It almost wrote itself, and so I think it's just so. It was just so easy to make, and I absolutely loved every single part of it. There's nothing in that comic that I would change outright. I mean, there's little things like, of course, like little tiny, like singular snippets of dialogue that I could have changed, or the beginning, the artwork for it, which was, oh my god, it was so bad. But I love the entire thing, so that's my favorite. That's my baby right now, and we're still working on so many other things. When I say we, I refer to Brave Resistance as well, which I've been drawing with while we've been talking. But like even Brave Resistance and Blitzov, at least comic-wise, I love those as well, but they're different as well from Putrid Meat. Blitzov, I have a lot more forethought in that one.
Okay.
And because there's a lot more dialogue in Blitzov than there is in Putrid Meat, and things that I have to go about explaining while trying not to explain them too on the nose, because I kind of like to keep it a tiny bit abstract, just a little bit weird. But and then Brave Resistance, it's still a lovely comic. I absolutely love it. But I'm a little unhappy with my line work in the beginning. And because I came a long way since then, but I was still, Brave Resistance is such a different project than anything I've ever taken on, in that it's just not the kind of story that I've ever been used to telling or illustrating. So whenever I make any kind of page, it takes a lot of energy, because just it's not the type of tone that I'm used to working with. But I still love it nonetheless. But Putrid Meat, I think my point is that it was just so automatic for me, and just it's my innards. It was in my head at any given time of day. But
it's very natural pit face work. If you ever look at if any, like the listeners, if you ever look at Putrid Meat, you think, okay, that's pit face through and through. That's
the psyche of pit face.
Exactly. That's her whole personality.
Well, I've got so many friends.
That's cool. You've moved. Yeah.
What was that, Baines?
I mean, you have like so many other things going on, other projects going on. Then you moved into Blitzoff, like added that into the thing. So, do you miss Putrid Meat, or is it just like you can sit back and like be satisfied?
I feel it's the latter. I think because I've kind of thought about that a couple times before, like stopping and thinking, like, God, I haven't made a Putrid Meat page now since, what is it? Since February, I think. So like going on 4 or 5 months. And I asked myself, so that's obviously the longest I think I've ever gone without updating Putrid Meat. And I asked myself, like, do I miss like looking forward to making some pages and stuff? And as much as I love it, not really, because I do feel that it ended when it needed to. Like, I feel satisfied with it.
Oh, awesome.
It was the end of an era.
Yeah.
It was. Dead and buried in the backyard. I did draw a year consideration page for it, though, where I got to draw Bones and Exus and others, and it felt really good to draw him, especially Bones' his weirdo crooked nose and all those his little things and his hair and everything. And so it's not that I don't enjoy drawing it either. It felt good to do that, but I think it's natural.
Bones will never die. At least not this year. He needs his award.
That's right. He's going to persist being the unflushable turd until somebody puts him comics.
That's completed. Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves his Best Actor award. Come on, guys. Lifetime achievement.
Yeah.
It's his turn now. It's his turn.
It's my time.
Oh, jeez. I should do a bloody for your consideration page. PTA's updated once this year. Oh, jeez.
You should. You absolutely should, but you should do it now.
Yeah, I'll have it finished for next year's awards.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I'm also going to have to do one, and I saw how well Fit-Face did hers. It's amazing. I had a good laugh. No, I had the privilege of seeing it first.
Oh, yeah, you guys have a special relationship. You share each other's work.
But it's so cool. Like, I'm impressed. I kept thinking about it like afterwards for a while. And now I want to try my hand in the same sort of logic, not tone, but logic, because she did it so well. So she made me jealous.
Oh,
all right.
I'll have to look at it so I can see how to do them. And that will teach me.
Yeah, I'll show you guys after the cast. I have it right here.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So, do you guys ever have the thing where, like, the latest page that you're working on becomes your best work, at least for that time? You know, you're working on it, you think, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done. This is like genius. This is just, oh my God, people are going to look at this and just think, I'm never going to have to see another comic again because this is just all comics. This is the Omni comic.
I never go that far, but I often feel like really good about what I'm drawing at the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not every time, but yeah, it happens fairly regularly. I'm like, this is great. And then I look at it later and I'm like, oh dear Lord. That's awful.
Yeah, that happens. Oh, I'm glad it's universal because, yeah, that happens with me. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the best work I've ever done. And then I look at it after I've finished and should think, oh my God, this is the worst work I've ever done.
Yeah. Usually when I feel like, oh wow, I have created something extraordinary, I am bowled over by my own genius, and and then when I upload it, nobody comments. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely nobody.
Oh God, I hated that.
Or,
Yeah.
or if they comment, it's like for something absolutely irrelevant with a thing I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
Or usually, or especially, sometimes I was feeling like very edgy for some of the plot twists that I have in Without Moonlight, and I said, okay, now this is the page where I drop the bombshell. Yes, someone? No, nobody comments where I drop a bombshell. They comment like on the next page a lot, and then you say, like, I would have liked that response, a page before that. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly. People never seem to react to the part that you're most proud of in the work. And you think, what, am I looking at the same page as these people? What, is there like been some error? What happened? What went wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. At this latest page of Pinky TA, which I have not got to the stage where I'm thinking, oh, this is crap. I think that I had some kind of like a false start when before I put the page online. There was some kind of situation where I looked at it and thought, oh my God, nothing just worked out the way I wanted it to. And then I fixed everything before I posted it. So I'm not sort of looking at it and thinking, oh, this is the worst crap ever. So I'm still happy about it because of that. But yeah, people did not pick up on the things that I was most happy about, though, which is strange. So the things that I see in it, no one else sees. So yeah, that's weird how that happens. That no one else ever sees what you see.
I think too. Remember when people read your pages and stuff like that, like. I think the way most people read is they'll obviously read a panel, go on to the next panel, read a panel, go on to the next panel. I mean, does anybody really stop to look at the page, the whole page in itself, unless there's a prompting to do so? Or I don't think a lot of people do that. So I think that it makes it easier to miss, things like that you put your heart and soul in, or that you feel have turned out really well, but it's easily missed, or just because the person is reading through that, focusing on that particular page panel by panel. And then when it comes to story stuff too, like I know there's been a couple of times I think in Putrid Meat and stuff like that, which I mean isn't nearly as involved story wise as like say Without Moonlight. So if I drop a hint at something, like for instance, the fact that I never came out and said that Zeus, the little baby, was Bones' son, but he was. And I didn't find a lot of people, like I've dropped little hints about it, very, very, well, I say they're very subtle, but again, Putrid Meat isn't that subtle, so... So I don't know how subtle they seem, but I mean, he's Bones' son, and not a lot of people ever really commented on it or like things like that. And I think part of the reason why that is because we read these webcomics in such a different way than we read, like, say, a paper comic, in that it's so segmented. From due to the updating schedules and stuff like that, that it's easy to forget parts of the plot that happened just before, or little things that happened just before that page, when otherwise, when you were reading it sequentially in a book, they would have been easier to pick up on or remember.
Yeah, that's very true. People just forget all the little clever plot points that you think were so genius. Or
you're reading each page as an individual thing when it's fresh, and so it doesn't as much, like the big moments don't stand out as the big moments necessarily. Whereas if you read through the whole chapter or the whole thing kind of in one or two sittings, then you'd have that perspective. Like this is the big stuff, and this is sort of...
You'd have a whole different reading experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, it's more about the art. I mean, there is stuff about the story as well, but it's heavily about the artwork, because I worked so long on the artwork. Yeah. So there's aspects of that. No, I agree.
Yeah, for me too, artwork is a big thing that I like to pay attention to. And then people too, like, they don't necessarily comment everything that goes through their head. Although, when they do mention, notice plot points and stuff, you would think that they would talk about it, and bring it up and stuff like that. But, people kind of sometimes just kind of fall back into their comments and get comfy, or who knows, any number of things. So, yeah.
For me, though, sometimes some people, when I have chatted up a couple that wanted, to talk, not in the comment section, but, in a chat or something. What they have told me is that sometimes the impact of what I read is such that I can't think of something to say. Like I notice it, and it makes me, feel and emote and everything. But I don't know what to say. What do you say to that? Or how do you comment about this or whatever? So maybe sometimes people just don't know how or what would be okay comment or something like that. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, yeah, definitely.
Perhaps, yeah. Yeah, I think that is one of the strangest things about this latest page of Mickey J. Most people commenting on the story, which so yeah.
Are they? What are they?
Well, just everyone's commenting on aspects of the story, and what's happening in the written words on the page, which is the last thing that goes on the page. The very last thing. 6 months to do the artwork and one day to do the writing. Oh, jeez. But I'm not being a critic of people commenting. Jesus, I'm not that much of an asshole. It's just interesting that happens. It's fantastic that anyone comments at all on my page, especially after so long. It's amazing that people do stick around. It's incredible. So I'm very grateful.
Oh yeah,
for
no matter
that.
what they're saying, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they
I remember you telling me like a long time ago, like how much you slaved over this artwork on all your pages, and then like when people read your comic, they scan past it in like half a second. So strange.
But yeah, you know that, and everybody does that. Everybody like just skips over artwork. That's how people do it. But for some reason, I still it's a disease.
Well,
but yeah, that's why you do it though. You don't necessarily do it for comments. You do it for me. I do it for the artwork. I love doing that. That's my thing. And if I can get something that I'm proud of, that makes it even better. And
I think that is still a lot. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go on.
That is still a lot of why people read a lot of not all, but like a lot of the time, people, even webcomics, like people are attracted to them because of the art, even if they're not commenting on the art specifically every page or hardly ever. Like, I think that is a big, like, it's really important for probably most webcomics. Yeah. That'll keep people coming back. Like if they don't like the art, then there has to be something else going on, or, people won't bother with it.
That is something a fact, attractive. Yeah. But I think my point was that that's the kind of thing that makes me keep doing it, because that's what I love. The whole best work kind of thing. So that's where I put my heart and soul in, and that's why I do it, hoping that this will be my best work kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the time I strive to make each page my best work. Even though, it's chapter 6 so far as a big clump of things, that's my best. So what about you guys? Do you ever have that kind of thing that you're thinking, now I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna put everything I have into this, and this page is gonna be my best? Or I mean, I know you did, like you told me you each have that thing that I have, oh my god, this is genius, this is my best work. But and we all have that, I suppose. But do you have this feeling where you want to make that the latest page your best?
You know what? Not it's, I don't know how to say this without sounding pretentious. That's not really my focus on the pages. But
it's not pretentious.
No.
But like I think what I focus on more is I try to find a couple of particular things about that page that I want to highlight as I'm making it, and make those things stand out. That's kind of what I get preoccupied with. But yeah, if I try to make it my absolute best page, I will be shooting myself right in the foot. I that's too much pressure, and I just wouldn't know how to go about that. And then too, I think my biggest thing with that kind of approach for myself is that it would take it away from a place that it comes from that's more sincere, and instead try to be manufacturing it as something. It's like, this is my pinnacle, I want to climb this mountain because it's the highest in the world, not because I think it's scenic or because, I think it's a good mountain. I just want to climb it. And so that would be kind of like, that's the wrong perspective for me to come from, but I think others maybe could make it work better. I don't know.
Interesting. So, but that said, the latest pages of Blitzov really are, they're looking amazing. They really are. And the D&D, DD, the Dungeons and Dragons thing as well. It's looking incredible.
Yeah, man.
D&D, and of course I can't really take any credit for writing that. But that's like a different beast altogether, because it is just purely out of fun, and so I really don't think it will be my best work. If it is my best work, I'll be surprised and I think slightly offended. But I love that comic so far. So who knows? Maybe it'll grow into one of my best works. Our best works. We all.
Oh my God!
It's the combination. It's the culmination of everything you've done so far. Well, that's what I think about Blitzov. That's it's taking everything from Putrid Meat and sort of turning up the dial, or at least
in some way
it's a sophisticated version of Putrid Meat.
Yeah, I think that's better. I think if you were to say that it was turning up the dial on things, I think that would say that it was somehow more...
Yeah, it's not that.
Obscene, or more like, Putrid Meat 2.0, everybody get wasted. Like, but I see what you're saying. I do, like, it took some of the things that I might have learned along the way. And used them a little bit.
Yeah, and it's sort of in the same universe as well. So it has that spiritual connection. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bunker City before it was Bunker City.
Exactly. It has that spiritual connection, has the sort of the palette, same kind of character designs and all that kind of thing, but there's an incredible, just speaking of artwork, but even in story, everything is so much more slick. Not slick. No, I'm not thinking of slick as in corporate or that kind of thing, but it is just well produced.
Well, thank you. And it's, I think too, another thing about it that maybe would make it more sophisticated in a sense is that it has more of a character struggle than Putrid Meat has. Like Bones has his own thing. Like, yeah, he wants to go be king of Septica. And that's always in the backdrop of Putrid Meat, at least since the chapter where he becomes king and then he gets the axe and comes back. But with Blitzov, this kind of thing appeared much earlier, which is Blitzov's growing fear of death and inability to kind of process it. And so that's a backdrop, and it's gonna continue to be so as I have some developments coming up, and it's gonna be affecting presence on what happens in the comic and say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm droning. So.
That's a good point. It not only is the artwork more, showing the benefit of everything you've learned and done, there's story style as well. Yeah, because as you say, he has that very strong driving sort of force behind him, and that really does inform everything. So best work. I think we're coming to the end of the time we have for the Quackcast, but what would you guys say, like in the future, what do you think your best work will be? will it remain this this perfect piece of stuff you've produced, or will there be something? Can you imagine?
Oh, absolutely.
I hope my dissertation will be one of them. I hope.
Oh, right. Your university stuff. Interesting.
It has to do a lot to beat out Putrid Meat.
Yeah.
What about
Might just submit Putrid Meat instead.
Yes, exactly. That can be your
How come I know it?
exegesis.
It's Putrid Meat.
What about you, Bones? What you have a?
Oh man, well, I don't know. I have at least one other series like in mind, more like 3 other series I want to do, but I'm still I'm still developing and I work on quite a bit. So I'm hoping that'll be better. I'm definitely hoping my art will get better and characters will get better. So yeah, I mean, hopefully there'll be better stuff in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. That would kind of be a drag otherwise.
All
You
downhill.
peaked too early.
It's just I peaked, and the peak was not all that high. Thank.
Oh, jeez. What about you, Tans? What's more scripts?
Hopefully, if people, commission me, but I think that the best work, and I hope that the best work I ever do would be my political stuff, my
Interesting.
my treatise, let's say, or my foray into making a system that works on a state level, but still is direct democratic, rather than an offshoot of the Republica. So yeah, I do think that this will be my magnus opus for real, and I hope it will be, because I think that's the one that should be the best for what I produce. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be a very, very different piece of stuff to look back on. Yeah, it'll be fantastic if it can be seen that way. I hope it will be. For me, I'm a bit more modest in my well, not more modest, more simple in my ambitions. I'm hoping that this current chapter of Pinky TA will be the best. I don't know if it will,
All right,
but hopefully, we'll see.
Future is bright.
Yeah.
We'll see how we go. All right. Well, hopefully we'll have other people who can talk about their best stuff and link to it and all that kind of stuff, so we can help promote it.
Yeah.
For the next Quackcast. All right. So this has been Quackcast number 377, and we're still going. My God. Thank you guys for being part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.